Hi, thank you for being here. My name is Rich Brocchini, and I'm a Public Information Officer for Incident Management Team, CAL FIRE, Team 6. Today is August 27th at 5 p.m., and thank you for joining the Caldor community meeting via Zoom and Facebook. So currently the fire is 143,951 acres. It's 12% contained, and there's 3,204 firefighters fighting this fight on the ground and in the air. We want to just kind of go over an informational update and how information is disseminated for this incident. Before we do that, we want to ask everybody that when you're looking for information for the Caldor incident, to please get information that is disseminated, that's sent out from this incident, because the information is consistent and it's validated. We make sure we validate it with many different components to the validation to make sure we're getting you accurate information. So consistently, we send out information at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. every day. They're called incident update sheets, and they look like this. And they're online, and we print them out and put them all over the community as well. Additionally, there's a little QR code on these forms that are sent out electronically. And on the QR code, you can actually scan your phone over that QR code. It'll populate a link tree, and there's 15 different links on there that'll give you anything and everything you want to know about this incident right at your fingertips, from evacuation maps to social media, etc. Additionally, we're very active on social media, on our Twitter, on our Instagram, and our Facebook, so please follow us on those social media sites. We also encourage everybody to sign up on the email sign-up list. That way you'll get anything that's sent out from this incident. Any kind of press release regarding anything and everything, you'll be emailed right away, just as everybody else is. Additionally, we also have PIOs, public information officers, in the field going around and talking to everybody throughout the community. Okay, at this point, let's go ahead and get an operational update from our Operations Section Chief.
Good evening, Eric Schwab, Operations Section Chief with Incident Management Team 6. For those that have been following, we did add some additional black line to the heel of the fire division, WUTR, and coming up into Division P, that's all black line. We've been working that area of the fire since day one, basically, and are finally comfortable and confident that that's not going to move any further. Still some additional tactical patrol around structures in Division A is occurring today. If everything looks good within Division A after today and tonight's operational periods, I would anticipate additional that area being blacked in as well tomorrow. Up in Division Delta, we've been doing a very technical burning operation that I've been talking about for several days, trying to bring the fire down Sly Park Road and also coming down a ridge line and down into the middle and out the other side of Camp Creek. During that, the wind came up last night during that firing operation. It threw a few spots. For those in the Placerville area and on up, saw today it was extremely limited visibility, literally down to a couple hundred feet of visibility. We had a hard time finding those spot fires today. At 9 o'clock this morning, we got infrared aircraft up. We've had them up all day. They've been helping to guide us into those spot fires. We've been engaged with several of them. We do have one spot fire out in front that's given us a challenge to suppress it. The smoke inversion finally lifted about an hour ago, and we have multiple helicopters and a fixed wing working that spot fire currently. We hope to get it picked up and extend our lines down a little bit and continue to box in this little finger of fire right here. We added some black line into Division Delta up just south of Jenkinson Lake. We've got continued resources all along Highway 50 here, working to get direct parallel containment on that area. A lot of this fire up here is sat up on the top of the ridge, and we've been going in trying to pick it up direct with equipment. Other active spot on the fire, again, as usual, the whole east side of the fire, Branch 10, Division I, Division H. This area got very active yesterday. It jumped over our proposed control line, Wrights Lake Road. It ran about 800 acres. It's probably about 1,200 acres that it passed Wrights Lake Road, burned all the way up to the 7,500-foot elevation line. The fuels are extremely critical up there. Fuels that normally wouldn't be really available to burn actively or burning with extreme conditions, spotting, sheeting, torching, all the above. Success story for today, Division J has actually calmed down for us quite a bit yesterday and today. We have multiple dozer lines up Strawberry Creek and then direct on the fire, and that part of the fire has been laid down most of the day today, and we anticipate doing some burning operations on that tonight with the priority to get black line established on this easternmost point down to Highway 50, and if we have time to turn the corner and bring it all the way up to the top here, basically blocking this off, creating a catcher's mitt, which has been an objective for several days now. It just hasn't been an easy one to come by. Down into Lima, we are getting direct and indirect dozer line completed. In fact, it's tied into Division J now. And then moving back down, Division N and Papa have been a little bit active. They've been quiet for several days now, but they are getting a little bit of wind alignment. We had a slop over a dozer line that was only about 50 acres yesterday. We were able to pick that up and continue it on. So making very good progress up through here. So 2 critical points on the fire, getting Division J burned in to stop that easterly spread, and Division Delta are our priorities. I'll answer a couple of questions now. Questions about Strawberry and Camp Sac. So the fire has not made it into Strawberry. This is Strawberry Creek right here. The fire hasn't made it into that location yet. It's our objective to keep it out of that area. Like I said, we're planning to burn that. We also have contingency lines going in outside all the way through Strawberry Canyon up and out, and we're going to tie into 88, and we're also working another contingency line out here as well. As for Strawberry and Cap Sacramento, we've had multiple resources in there for the past 96 hours doing structure prep, getting those homes ready, making it more survivable for them if the fire should come through there, but the fire has not made it to Strawberry. Chances of fire getting to Tahoe, we're doing everything that we can to ensure that it doesn't. That's why this is such a critical priority for us. As I said, we're putting in multiple additional control lines that we can fall back to should this challenge us again. As far as the branch 10, where this fire, I mean, it's hit the top of the aspect right there, and the fuels are just so sparse that once it gets up top there, it just dies out on its own. It is getting a little bit of easterly spread, but we have, again, multiple lines that we're working to take down to 50 to check that spread to the east. Prepping structures for us is throwing your cord of wood that's around your house, touching it or something will get any of that flammable material away. We'll get on your roof physically, take pine needles out of gutters. We'll cut ornamental brush that is right up next to your house so it can't catch on fire. Basically, we're creating that 30 foot of critical defensible space, and if we have time, that 100 feet of defensible space for you, just depending on the time frames that we have. We also go in, we'll put sprinkler kits out there with portable pumps and set up elaborate sprinkler systems around structures that we can't physically get fire trucks into. We'll ring them with a bulldozer, eliminate the fuels around there, and in worst case scenarios, we'll do burning around the structures to create that defensible space. So that's what prepping the structures is, and we've been doing a lot of it. Christmas Valley and Myers, again, I've explained our plan. My goal is to not let the fire get anywhere east of Strawberry Creek, and even then I still have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C, and multiple plans to address that. But conditions have been the most favorable they've been in Division. And then our prescribed burns counting as part of the perimeter. We're not doing prescribed burns. These are burning operations. They're either offensive or defensive firing tactics that we use to stop the spread of the fire. The fires don't burn typically in nice right angles, so when you look at the map, it's real easy for me to tell that we took bulldozers or hand line and made a 90-degree turn and went down into the drainage and another 90 and went back. And we fired this area out. to eliminate those fuels right up to our control line to stop the spread. And once that's all said and done, that does count as part of our perimeter. And that is the end of my questions. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm incident meteorologist Jim Dudley, and I'm going to talk about the weather for the next 2 to 3 days, and specifically talk a lot about wind and how wind effects are very, very important on this large piece of ground we have here where the fire is. So, heading over here, there's two ways we can get wind on the landscape. You can have the wind flow, what we call our upper level winds that just move across at higher elevations across the entire fire. And then also, a very, very important part of the wind on this fire is the winds that are generated by the landscape itself. We call those terrain-driven winds. And this is a very, very diverse landscape here, lots of deep canyons, lots of ridge lines, lots of terrain that is varied, and it's what we call complex terrain. So what we have happening here, even if the winds coming across the fire and the atmosphere are very light, the landscape itself is going to generate its own wind based on what the sun does to it. So quickly, at nighttime, like water, the air cools and it wants to flow downhill or down canyon. And on this fire, especially over here on these western divisions, the wind wants to flow out of these drainages, and it picks up speed as it comes out. So you get an easterly, whatever the direction of the canyon is, the winds are coming out of there. Conversely, every day when the landscape heats up, the wind wants to come back up those same drainages and canyons. So you might hear us talk about terrain-driven winds, and this is a cycle that repeats itself over and over again on this fire. Or pretty much any landscape, depending on where you are. So this weekend, we have relatively light winds. We have a little bit of south wind making the smoke drift to the north today. Nothing really strong. However, we're still getting very strong and gusty winds during the nighttime and early morning hours, pushing down these canyons. We're also getting a little bit of easterly winds pushing back in this direction at night. But during the day, everything switches around. Now, higher elevations up here near the top of the fire, they are more susceptible to picking up wind from the atmosphere itself. For tomorrow and for Sunday, we're expecting the winds to be rather light aloft. In other words, not a lot of atmosphere helping us out, so the terrain is going to continue to drive the winds. Nighttime down canyon, daytime up canyon winds. As we get into Sunday and into Monday especially, there's a change coming to the weather. We are expecting the winds aloft to increase quite a bit across the entire region here. And what that's going to do, it's going to make the ridgeline winds on Monday gust from the southwest at 25, 30, maybe 35 miles an hour during the day as that flow comes up from the southwest and heads toward the Sierra Crest. So this fire, it's not especially hot. It's very dry. The humidities are dry, and they're going to stay dry all weekend. But come late Sunday night and into Monday, we're going to add a bunch of wind to this landscape from the southwest. So you'll probably be hearing terms like possibly a red flag might be coming out this weekend for strong winds for Monday. It's not out yet right now. All the weather people, including myself, are assessing how strong the winds might get on Monday, and we'll certainly keep you informed as we update the forecast for that. So I would say, to sum all this weather up, the terrain is going to drive the winds this weekend. But beyond this weekend, the atmosphere is going to drive the winds across the fire. And that's your wind report for today. Again, there's a lot going on here, and the terrain is the main thing that drives the fire, at least for this weekend. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Vollmer. I'm the Fire Behavior Analyst with Incident Management Team 6. And We've heard operations talk about a lot of things in relation to spotting and the problem we have in the rollout. We heard the incident meteorologist talk about the deep drainages. And what those are all kind of coming into play with is as that wind flows up and down those drainages, it increases the speed. And as it increases the speed, it picks up and it's going to grab all those hot embers, everything that's on fire there in the Highway 50 corridor that's down in Camp Creek in Division Delta, and everything that was down in the Slug Gulch area of Division Alpha. It picks up all that hot material, and it continues to carry it for us. Right now, the spotting distance is up to a half a mile. Further up towards Strawberry, at one point today, we had it just a little bit over a half a mile. So we're continuing to evaluate those things daily and hourly as the progression changes. So with the weather we saw this morning, the fire activity did die down a little bit. Unfortunately, so did the visibility. Visibility was extremely poor, and it didn't allow everybody to see those spot fires that were out there for the last day or so. As the visibility increased, so did the fire activity. So then they started finding the spot fires and actively engaging into those. What we can see for tomorrow is pretty much a cookie cutter of today. We're going to see that poor visibility. That inversion layer is going to sit on top of the fire like a lid on a frying pan and just hold all the heat and all the smoke in. And once that inversion layer lifts, so does all the heat. It just starts going out like the flue on the chimney got opened. All the heat goes up, all the smoke goes up. We get clear air. We also get increased fire activity, so we can start to see that. Some of the key areas that we're still working on is there in Division Delta. Like I said, those drainages are very powerful. They're holding a lot of water and a lot of wind. We have a saying, wind goes where water flows. So any place where we're working in deep drainages, we can expect to have a lot of windy, erratic conditions. Just in the Camp Creek drainage in Division Delta, you've got multiple drainages that all feed into the consumus there, as well as up in the Strawberry area. You have multiple ridge lines and drainages that all feed into Highway 50 up there. So the crews are definitely engaged. They're doing their best with what they can. And remember, this area has very little recorded fire history in it. Some fire history back into 1980, some into the 70s, and after that, we have to go all the way back to pre-1940 to see any fire history in there. That's making for difficult conditions, making for a lot of heavy dead-down material that continues to smolder and continues to put up all this smoke and continues to hamper the efforts to control the edges of the line.
Okay, at this time we'll go ahead and take some more questions and answers. And I'm going to answer a question that we got online about a local assistance center. So there's going to be one that opens up. El Dorado County is going to open up a local assistance center located at the Folsom Lake Community College El Dorado campus in the fitness building. That address is 6699 Campus Drive, Placerville, and they're open Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Good evening. My name is Dusty Martin. I'm one of the Unified Incident Commanders. So I did have a couple of questions, and we're going to tie that into some closing remarks tonight. So there's been a lot of questions about aircraft. Today was an extremely smoky day all throughout the region. Our air quality index was extremely high. Visibility for the firefighters out on the line was approximately 50 to 100 feet for a good portion of the day. The air has cleared in the last 2 hours, and we were able to get some helicopters working. And then currently over the fire, we have 2 very large air tankers and some additional large air tankers that are flying the fire. The specific question was, why aren't there more aircraft flying over Sly Park? It all goes back to our visibility and if we have good, clean air for the aircraft to fly or not. The mission has to be safe and has to be accepted by both the pilot and the flight crews to do so. And that starts with our operations section evaluating if they're going to be an effective tool for the job. There's been a series of questions about Sierra Tahoe. As you can tell by our map here, Sierra Tahoe sits in about this area here. Fire has not reached that. There's currently no impact to Sierra Tahoe as we speak. You did hear that our meteorologists talk about the upcoming weather. We are getting prepared for that. We are getting prepared for the shift in the wind direction. But I want to make sure everybody knows today, down in Division Delta and that area, we've had one heck of a firefight. Firefighters on the ground are working over 24 hours into the 48 hours due to limited resources just to make sure that we can continue to keep our foot on the gas and keep moving. Today did challenge us through the night with the down canyon winds, and then the low visibility also makes it pretty difficult to see where the fire is and some of that. We have used some of our infrared technology and some of our Intel aircraft to assist the firefighters on the ground to get into some of those spots in some of those areas. We are monitoring the weather very closely with our IMET, and we will continue to do that over the next couple of days and readjust as needed to make the changes for that weather pattern that is coming up, which would push the fire from the west to the east. With the fire laying down today, as operations talked, we had some good success out there in Juliet, and we're looking at continued success through the night and going to take advantage of the next couple of days of weather pattern. One of the things that I do want to speak to is we have numerous personnel that are working behind the scenes. Personnel that we don't talk about a whole lot, personnel that you don't see, is not in our messages going out, but there is hundreds of people that are working in the background to support the firefighters, to support this incident through various methods of driving supplies out to the line, our kitchen staff, support staff in camp, numerous overhead personnel here, and we could not do what we're doing without the support of those folks. The support of our local law enforcement that are continuing to maintain road closures, continuing with everything we've got going on to make sure our community is safe, that there's no looters in there. But I do want to take a minute and thank those folks that are putting in extremely long days, tireless days, as more of a support function than being out on the fire line. But trust me, we would not be able to do our jobs on the fire line without those support personnel. Team 6 is going to continue to evaluate, make changes as necessary with our U.S. Forest Service partners, and continue to adjust to the conditions, the weather, and the fire behavior that is out there. And as I've said in prior nights, we are going to see this fire to a mitigation. Thank you and have a great night.
Hola, buenas noches. Soy Ricardo Tlapala, vocero, California Incident Management Team 6. Hoy les voy a traer el breve informativo del Caldor incidente del 27 de agosto 2021. Desde esta mañana, el incendio ha consumido 143,951 acres. Está a 12% de contenimiento y tenemos 3,204 bomberos comprometidos a la batalla. Que les quiero traer atención los rumores que han estado escuchando. Cualquier rumor que escuchen ustedes, acuérdense que nuestra oficina tiene que validar cualquier información antes de ser publicada. Entonces, la información más importante es la que sale de nuestra oficina. Publicamos breves 2 veces al día, a las 7 de la mañana y a las 7 de la noche,